Welcome back to What Arty Noobs for General Disturbance. This is the Conqueror Gun Carriage. It's the Tier 10 British SPG. This one's located on the northeast corner of Karelia, under the command of crazib of LEM0N. Yes, he's had a lot of replays recently. He's been very busy in his CGC. The Death Star? Not really the Death Star, no, the orbital laser cannon. I think, yes, the Death Star is really the FP215B183, but this thing is capable of delivering a very powerful shell, capable of 1,000 alpha and 59mm of pin, and it's coming down almost vertically on top of you if you're at maximum range, because the trajectory is very high indeed. Okay, he's ready to go. First target in sight. And he's got a Type 71 who's worthy of a shell. Fires around it. Oh, he looks away. We don't like that. We want to see what actually happens to the shell. And I think that one missed the target because he only got 392. Now, it does have a long reload. It's 44.1 seconds normally. But I suspect he's reduced his reload to something like about 38 seconds. We can't see it at the moment. For some reason, it's not actually giving us the figures or the stats. Even in Damocles. This is the Damocles reticule. Okay. People have asked about the reticule and the settings. We did actually put them or save them. Oh, 35.51. Not what I thought it was. So he's actually got an even smaller reload. Using the vents, the improved rammer, and the bounty gun lane drive. He's done it again, but he did get stun assist off this shot. The reason we also don't like it, it's not just that you get information, it's just the viewers of the videos like to see the damage being done to the enemy tanks, and if you deny that to them, they don't like it and they complain. And obviously the video doesn't get as much views. And there's less reason for me to actually do the video if you don't show us what we want to see. Okay, he's loaded. Rounds out. Direct hit right on the engine deck. Oh, that's gotta hurt. That one bound to have gone through his engine deck, because with 59mm of pin, engine decks don't have that much cover. So I suspect he might have got a reasonable pen amount of damage on that one. And of course, because the trajectory is so high, you can actually shoot through the gaps between the rocks. Now, the only other Arty, of course, that you can do that with is the Gorilla, the Tier 5 German, who has also a very similar trajectory. And of course, the Hummel, which uses the same howitzer. And they can actually put the shell between the rocks. So even if somebody tries to hug the rock, it doesn't help them. Well, the rocket ships are on the way. Yes, the BZ-75s. A pair of them are approaching the cap area pretty rapidly, but we do have a couple of teammates who are willing to block their path. The GWE 100 needs to move from where he is because he is in danger. These guys use their speed to get close. At this position, we're going to find it difficult to get a shell onto them. He can get a shell, and in fact, he's almost loaded. This is going to hurt that guy. Needs it to dial in first. He's ready. Rounds out. Directly in the face. 433. It kind of persuades you not to be there if you keep getting hit that bad. The can opener's gone round the other side, and I think he's actually trying to attack them from the rear. Looking a bit further away, you can see our guys are doing rather well on the South Pass, although they come up against a Jaegeru and the Type 5 Heavy. Well, we're almost ready to shoot, but that Jaegeru is almost maximum range. Rounds out the engine deck. And lands alongside him for 371. That's one of the reasons why we need to see what actually happens to the shell, because obviously sometimes RNG lets you down And the shell doesn't land on the engine deck, it lands beside it. Of course, Jaegers have that shield over their tracks, which makes it difficult to damage them. And we've lost sight of the Jaeger now, so all we can see is the can opener and the guys behind him. Can't see the Jaeger. We can still hit that can opener though. Rounds out. Oh, and he looks away again. Well, he got a near miss for 225. Meanwhile, this BZ75 is about to go back to the garage. There's the Jaeger. Oh, he has suffered a lot of damage. Down to 269 now. He's a one-shot, and in fact, we could take him out the game if we can get one to land on him. But we're so far away from him that it's difficult to get a shot. We need to get closer. Okay, just up on the horseshoe, we can see these enemy tanks coming into sight. The BZT takes a hit for 344. Now, those guys are actually threatening our guys who are also on the horseshoe. And it appears that the enemy just lost their BZT-70. This E3 is still threatening our guys. He didn't get a kill there, but we're about to put a round right on top of him. And he is losing hit points massively. Now lining up the shell ahead of his track, rounds out, and well, that landed near him for 133. He is, I believe he's very badly damaged. In fact, he's just died, and the BZ75 on our team got the kill. Now, we are moving forward at the moment. That's why the rescue's bouncing all over the place. If you ever see that and you didn't mean to be moving forward, if you accidentally hit the R or the F key, then you see that bouncing reticule. Either somebody is playing with you, they're trolling you, or you're on the move. And he got a good shot there, which landed near the front of the vehicle. That might actually be on the front, but it was near the tracks. The scores are even at the moment. We've got one more heavy tank than they've got. They've got one more tank destroyer than us. They've got a pair of Jaegers, though. That's the problem. But we do know that one of those Jaegers is very badly wounded. In fact, he's so badly wounded, he's actually sitting behind that can opener at the moment. Now, we haven't got a shot there, but I think he could move a lot closer. We do know that there's one Jaeger back at the enemy cap area as well. He was seen there. That might just be an AFK, that guy. He does have a kill. Both Jaegers have kills, but only one of them actually has 3 kills. So you could say that the Jaeger seen back at the enemy cap, he's probably just not taking part in the battle as much as everyone else. Our Striv's moving gradually forward, but the enemy Jaeger is actually out of range from us at the moment, so that's why we need to move closer to the enemy. Can't see the targets over here because our guys are not spotting them. Every time they move up, they get fired on. Tree going down. So somebody is knocking a tree down just a little further away. Of course, Arty's having the ability to look ahead and from above. We can see trees falling a lot easier than many of the tank drivers do. It's almost as if they're setting up defensive positions right at the south of the valley. But the fact that we're not getting any movements at the moment tends to make me think it's kind of stalemated, so we might need to move. I think crazib needs to get a move on. Head southwest. There's a time when Arty shouldn't be sticking around in one spot. And definitely should not be going backwards. They should be going forwards. Many's the time that an Arty, such as myself, will actually go and take the enemy cap area because the enemy is so wound up and they're so involved in actually battling the other enemy heavies that they forget about that cap area. And of course then the Arty sneaks in behind them and then they're in terrible trouble. Okay, so we're dialing in now at the moment because the can openers suddenly appeared. It's going to be a difficult shot. Fires it and looks away. Oh, this game is so disappointing. Crazib is hugging the rear end of the map. He's redlining. And he shouldn't be doing it. He should be right up in the swamp area or moving up through the swamp area, assisting that Striv to find the Jaeger route and get rid of him. And then we can put pressure on the enemy cap. In fact, I would actually say you're better off following the Type 71. Although he's probably the one who's going to find the enemy Jaeger first. The Striv at this moment is hiding. He thinks that the enemy Jaeger is behind one of the rocks. But we're just so far away, we can't do anything because we've got a short range. Well, shortish range. Come on, Crazib. He's just not moving fast enough. Okay, so he's got within range to actually shoot behind that rock. But he should be a lot closer to the enemy. Now, there is still 2 enemy Arties in the game, an Object 261 and a Batchat 155-58. So all this explosions that he's causing back in his own cap is actually telling the enemy Arty where he is. And again, that's another no-no. Try not to knock over things like this. Because if the enemy Arty is considering counter battery, that's what he'll be looking for. Any sign of where you are. Okay, well, 71's found one of the enemy, but of course, the problem is that Crazib's not within range, and I did say he should have moved southwest, and now he's out of range, and he can't help his teammates now that Jaeger's been found. Still out of range. He's got a grey line. That means you're way out of range. He's getting closer. He's almost within range. Bit closer still, please. Look at the GW. He's been keeping up with events. That's right. So, we've lost sight of the Jaeger, but he is there. And he's supposedly behind that rock. So, put a round in and see if we can wake him up. If we get a hit, the shell will disappear and we'll know that we hit him. And again, he's not firing. Maximize your fire rate because the more enemy tanks you hit, the more chance you've got of medal. And in fact, here comes the Jaeger. He's came out of his nest. Long flight time. Oh, that was right on the front. 2 critical hits, but no damage. Oh, he's getting stun assist, so that works. So our Type 71, who's very badly wounded now. And in fact, he's using his gun depression to try and take on the Jaeger. And he managed to get him, and that means now he's got a Confederate medal. Trouble is, we just lost, or did we lose some? No, we didn't lose some. We've got the Object 261 on the enemy team, and he fires a round in, and again he looks away, so we don't get to see. And he did 499 hit points of damage. Now, if I remember correctly, that means that the Object 261 is very low on hit points now. He's just got 1, I think. The Striv just got wiped out by their Type 5 Heavy. So it's 5 versus 4 and we're in the last minute. Our mouse is about to die. Okay, so it looks like it's going to be a draw. Yes, this can opener's getting up onto the horseshoe. He's just met one of our guys coming the opposite way, a BZ-75. And of course, BZs do have good armor. Now, can we put a round into him? Go. Yep, nice shot. Stops him in his tracks. 483, but we lose the BZ. And we're less than a minute, well, less than 10 seconds to go now. So what crazib is doing is just putting himself out of range of that can opener's guns, just if he comes up to the edge of the horseshoe. And that's it, the game's over, and it's a draw. Here's the end of battle stats, and that was a second-class tank for crazib of LEM0N in the Conqueror Gun Carriage. He also got a bruiser medal for getting at least 5 critical hits. In this one, he managed to get 15. He got a Gauze medal for doing more damage, exceeding 8 times the hit points of his own vehicle. And his win rate was 3,488, but it was a draw, and it didn't need to be. It could have been a win, because if you'd looked at the scores, we were capping, but we only had 19 seconds left to cap out. If there'd been 2 in the cap area, I think we would have won that one for sure. Anyway, let's have a look at the team score. We can see that the highest damage in the game was our Type 71, who's still alive at the end, actually. He was the one who was capping. He got 6,158 hit points of damage. Second highest damage turned out to be, yes, crazib brother. He got 4,870. And the third highest damage was the can opener on the enemy team, who got 4,827, and that guy got a patrol duty as well. When it came to kills, we can see the top scorer in this one was in fact the Type 71, the BZ75 on our team, and on the enemy team, their can opener, their Jaeger got 3 kills as well. The Jaeger got a Spartan, the can opener, that patrol duty. And when it came to crazib, yes, he didn't get a kill in the game, but of course that helped him basically because he did hit a lot of the enemy, but he didn't pick up a Confederate. And I'm wondering why. Is that nobody else got a Confederate? It's just the Gauze medal that he managed to get. When it came to base XP, we can see that the top scorer was in fact the Type 71 with 672. Was it? No, actually, I'm wrong. It's the can opener, 831 he got. So he really did well. Even though he got a lesser score than the Type 71, presumably that was because he was a lower tier, and therefore obviously he was picking up more damage on higher tier opponents. He managed to get 831 in the draw. 672 went to the Type 71, and then 575 went to the BZ75. We can see that crazib got 508. 14 rounds fired, 9 direct hits, 1 penetrating shot, and 15 splash. 4,870 hit points, all of it at more than 300 meters. Now, which tank do you think he actually penetrated with his round? It wasn't the 261, although I would have thought originally that was the one that he actually penetrated. But in actual fact, was it the... Yes, it was the BZT-70. He got 1 round into the side of that guy, or in fact actually hit him twice. So he must have hit him with a penetrating shot on the... That was, I think, the one that was hit on the engine deck, if I remember correctly. And so, yes, we did think at the time that potentially could have been a penetrating shot. Turns out it probably was. Okay, going back to the detail. 10 enemy vehicles damaged, none destroyed, and he got 1,729 hit points of stun assist off 16 stuns. On a premium count, he actually made a profit of 37,085 credits, including the courageous resistance, because, of course, it was a draw, and therefore this equalized his score with that of a winning team, because, of course, he put in so much effort to get a medal. 6,930 extra from that. 3 bonds for being tier 10, and 1,245 experience points, including 483 for courageous resistance. So, yes, they don't always go well. In fact, in this one, I think, crazib, you could have moved closer to the cap a lot sooner. The GWE-100 did actually go to the cap. He was on his way at the time, but I think you could have actually been or followed the Type 71 as he was making his way around the north to find that Jaeger and see where he was. The Jaeger was backlining it. He was redlining it. He was hiding at the back, protecting the cap. But obviously, that was probably because he was an inexperienced player, and that's why he was doing that, because he just didn't know what to do with his Jaeger. And, of course, as a consequence, if he had actually been with the Type 71, he could have jumped into the cap with the guy and still been able to fire at the enemy towards the end, but he would have actually capped out. They could have won this one. So there you go. It doesn't always work. But one thing I would say to crazib, please watch what happens to your shells. Unless, of course, you've got this sudden urge to change position because somebody's trying to counter battery you, you can still watch what happens to your shells and just press the W key or the D key to change position, move about. But we want to see what happens to those shells. It's very important to learn where the shells land, what happens to them. Does he get a direct hit? Does he get a blind hit on something else? Because sometimes you fire a shell at the target and the target that gets hit is not the one you intended, and that will tell you something. That'll tell you there's a tank there that hasn't been spotted, but it took the round instead of the one you did intend to hit. So yes, and that's happened to me more times than you can imagine, especially when you actually fire a shell at an enemy tank, an Arty shell at an enemy tank, and the tank that's next door to him, which you didn't see, dies suddenly. And that guy wonders what the hell happened because he wasn't spotted and yet he died. Anyway, it does happen occasionally. In fact, it happens to Arty more times than you can imagine, where you blind fire a bush and it turns out there was somebody in that bush. And I've done that a lot. And I can tell you, it's so funny when an enemy tank, especially something like a Type 64, dies suddenly at the start of the battle because he was sitting in the spotting bush in the obvious position. Hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please give this video a like and thank you for watching.